Level 1, the contract. You are 26 years old. 5 years in the infantry taught your body to move in ways it can never fully unlearn, and gave you a left knee that announces every change in weather before the weather itself does. Civilian life lasted 4 months. You spent it stocking shelves at a hardware store, answering questions about paint samples while something restless clawed at the inside of your chest every single shift. You quit without a plan, and you did not regret it for a single day. A man named Reyes finds you through a mutual contact from your old unit. He does close protection work now for a private military company operating across 3 continents, and he tells you the pay is obscene and the vetting is worse. You fly to a private facility in Virginia on your own dime for a 4 day selection course. 50 men start, 18 finish. The ones who wash out are not always the weak ones. Some are the ones who cannot follow an order they disagree with, and this world has no patience for men who need to understand why before they move. You sign a contract with a number on it that makes your hands go still for a moment. You do not read every clause. You already know the answer is written in the silence between the lines nobody bothers to explain. A man in a plain suit shakes your hand and tells you to be at the airfield in 9 days. Level 2, the perimeter. They fly you into a compound outside a city whose name you were told not to say out loud to anyone back home. Your first posting is static security on an extraction site the company protects under a contract that exists on paper for a government that officially has no soldiers there at all. 12-hour shifts. You check manifest against a printed list. You run a mirror on a pole under every vehicle before it is waved through. The heat sits on your shoulders like a second kit, and by noon, your undershirt is soaked through before your coffee even cools. Nothing happens for 6 weeks, and then everything happens in 4 seconds. A truck idles too long at your checkpoint one morning. Your hand finds your rifle before your mind finishes the thought. It turns out to be a stalled engine and a nervous driver fumbling with jumper cables. You breathe out slow, and you do not let the younger contractor beside you see how close your hand came to the trigger guard. You eat dinner most nights with men from a dozen countries who are all running from something they never name out loud. Some are running from debt. Some are running from a marriage that ended badly. Some are running from a country that simply had no place left for them. You send most of your pay home to a woman named Marisol, who you were seeing before you left, and who, against every reasonable expectation, is still there when your first 9 month contract finally ends. Level 3, the convoy. The company moves you onto close protection work, riding armored beside men who barely acknowledge you exist unless something goes wrong, in which case you become the only person in the vehicle who matters at all. You learn to read a road the way other men read weather. A parked car with its engine running too long. A motorcycle that trails 2 blocks past where it should have turned off. You drill the same 3 scenarios over and over until the response lives entirely in your hands rather than your thoughts, because thinking too long in this line of work gets people killed. It becomes real on a Tuesday afternoon. A vehicle cuts hard into your convoy's lane without slowing down. You push the principal below the window line before your fear has time to catch up to your training. It turns out to be nothing, a distracted driver checking his phone. Your hands do not stop shaking for almost an hour afterward, and you keep them jammed in your pockets until they finally do. Marisol is pregnant when you find out over a satellite call with terrible audio, watching an ultrasound image on a phone screen cracked from a fall you never fully explained to her. You open a savings account that night in a name you do not know yet, sitting alone in a safe house 8 time zones from home. Level 4, the operator. A conflict breaks out in a region the news barely mentions, and the company wins a direct action contract there worth more than any single job you have taken. They offer you a place on an assault team. The money is beyond anything you have ever made in your life. So is the risk attached to it. You say, yes, because the number will build a life for a child you have not even met yet. You tell Marisol it is just another security rotation. She has stopped fully believing that story months ago, though she has also stopped fighting you on it. You fire your weapon at another human being for the first time in your career during that deployment, and you do it again within the same week, and you tell yourself it was him or you, and most nights that is enough to let you sleep. Some nights it is not, and you lie on your cot staring at a ceiling you cannot see in the dark. A contractor named Dax, 23 years old, the loudest man in every room he has ever walked into, dies 11 feet from you during an ambush on a supply road outside a town whose name you will remember for the rest of your life. You carry him to the extraction vehicle under fire. You write nothing about it in your call home that week. Your daughter is 14 months old the first time you hold her in person. She does not know your face at all. She reaches for her mother instead, twisting away from your arms, and something breaks in your chest that is quieter and deeper than any physical wound you have ever taken in this job. Level 5. The Team Lead. 2 rotations later, the company gives you command of a 7-man element made up mostly of former special operators and shooters who used to be exactly what you were 2 years ago. The mission is your responsibility now. So are 7 lives, and that second weight sits heavier on you than the first one ever did, every single day you carry it. You brief contingencies until they are memorized cold. You keep your voice level, even when nothing inside you feels level at all, because a leader who shows doubt out loud loses the men who are supposed to trust him with their lives. When insurgents hit your convoy near an unfinished dam project on a route you had walked a dozen times before, you coordinate the response by sector, call in support, and lose nobody that day. Your men trust you completely after that afternoon in a way that changes something between all of you permanently. It becomes the closest thing to family this life has ever offered you, and some nights you are not entirely sure what to do with how much that fact means to you. Your daughter starts school while you are 11 time zones away, sitting in a briefing tent instead of a school gymnasium. Marisol sends a photo of her in a backpack too big for her small shoulders. You tell yourself the account you have built for her is worth every missed birthday and every school play you have never seen in person. You stop being entirely sure who you are still trying to convince of that. Level 6. The Director. Your knees finally give out the way the older contractors always warned you they eventually would. You move into Operations Command, running an entire regional contract portfolio from a windowless office thousands of miles from any active perimeter, managing budgets in the tens of millions and overseeing men you will likely never meet in the field again. When a vehicle carrying 2 of your contractors hits a roadside device on a routine escort run, the call comes to you first, before it goes anywhere else. You have written those letters home before, more times than you ever expected to when you started this. You will write them again. The words never get any easier to find, no matter how many times you have to find them. You are 41 years old. You go home twice a year now if the schedule allows it, which it often does not. Your daughter is 9 and treats you like a kind stranger who visits on holidays with gifts that never quite land right. Marisol asks you gently, without any anger left in her voice at all, whether you plan on ever actually coming home for good. You tell her one more contract. You have been telling her one more contract for 6 straight years. Somewhere tonight, a 26-year-old veteran is scrolling a job board in a small apartment, restless inside a civilian life that fits him like someone else's borrowed clothes. An advertisement appears on his screen offering 4 times his old military salary for men willing to deploy overseas. He has no idea what that number will actually end up costing him over the years that follow. He will find out. They always do.